They thought he was invisible, just another quiet man in a wrinkled coat, walking through a building that didn't belong to him. They were wrong. What started as a routine morning at one of the most powerful corporations in the city would end with careers destroyed, secrets exposed, and a lesson so sharp it cut through ego itself. This is a story about power, about pride, and about what happens when people mistake silence for weakness. No one knew his name. That alone should have been the first clue. Every morning at 6:45 a.m., the quiet man arrived at the towering glass headquarters of Atlas Dynamics, one of the fastest-growing logistics companies in the country. While executives arrived in black SUVs and assistants rushed around with tablets, he walked in alone. No entourage, no badge clipped to his jacket, no air of importance. He dressed plainly, a dark coat, scuffed shoes, a simple leather briefcase that looked older than the building itself. Most employees assumed he was maintenance. Others thought maybe a contractor. Some didn't think of him at all. And that was exactly how Elias Mercer wanted it. Elias didn't believe leadership should be loud. He believed truth revealed itself when people thought no one important was watching. So he watched. He watched how receptionists were treated when executives were late. He watched how janitors were spoken to, if they were spoken to at all. He watched how security guards enforced rules, and who they enforced them on. Atlas Dynamics had recently hired a new head of security, Brent Holloway, a former private contractor with a reputation for being tough. Brent believed respect came from fear, and fear, in his mind, was best delivered publicly. That morning, Brent was already irritated. Corporate was hosting an investor walkthrough later that day, and he'd been warned. No mistakes, no incidents, no surprises. Then he saw the quiet man. Elias stood near the executive elevators, checking his watch, waiting patiently. He didn't flash a badge. He didn't announce himself. To Brent, that was a problem. Brent nodded to two guards beside him. "Who's that?" he muttered. One guard shrugged. "Seen him around. Never causes trouble." Brent frowned. That's not how security works. And with that, the day took a turn no one would forget. Brent approached Elias with authority dripping from his voice. "Hey, you, badge." Elias looked up calmly. "Good morning." Brent didn't return it. "I said badge." Elias reached into his coat slowly, pulling out a slim leather wallet, but not the laminated badge Brent expected. It was an old employee access card, outdated in design but still functional. Brent scoffed. "This isn't valid." "It is," Elias replied quietly. "I just haven't updated it." That was all it took. Brent stepped closer, lowering his voice so others could hear. "You think I'm stupid? This floor is restricted. You don't belong here." People started to watch. Assistants slowed their steps. A few phones subtly lifted. Elias could feel the tension, but he didn't raise his voice. "I assure you," he said evenly, "this will clear up quickly." Brent laughed. "That's what they all say." He motioned to the guards. "Escort him out." One guard hesitated. "Sir, maybe we should." "Now," Brent snapped. Hands grabbed Elias by the arms. His briefcase hit the marble floor, papers spilling out. Financial reports, internal audits, board memos. One page slid across the floor and stopped at a junior analyst's feet. Her eyes widened. "Sir," she whispered. "That's..." Brent kicked the papers aside. "Clean this mess up." As Elias was dragged toward the exit, he didn't struggle. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. But he did say one thing. "Be careful," he said calmly. "You're being watched." Brent leaned in close. "Not by anyone who matters." The doors closed behind them. Inside the lobby, silence hung heavy. No one realized yet that the company's fate had just walked out the front door. 30 minutes later, the executive floor buzzed with nervous energy. The CEO's office phone rang. Once, twice, then again, this time from a private line only the board used. The CEO, Marion Cole, answered with a polite smile that vanished instantly. "Yes, I understand. When?" She hung up slowly. Her assistant noticed her hands shaking. "What's wrong?" he asked. Marion swallowed. "The founder is on his way up." The room froze. The founder? Someone repeated. Elias Mercer? No one had seen Elias in months. Rumors said he'd stepped back due to health. Others claimed he was planning to sell his shares quietly. But one thing was certain. When Elias Mercer showed up unannounced, people lost their jobs. Downstairs, Brent was bragging. Another trespasser dealt with, he told the guards. That's how you run security. Then the elevator doors opened. Elias stepped out, coat straightened, briefcase in hand, flanked by Marianne Cole and 3 board members. The color drained from Brent's face. Marianne's voice echoed across the lobby. Mr. Mercer. Every employee stopped moving. Brent stammered. Wait, no. There must be some mistake. Elias looked at him, not with anger, with disappointment. You grabbed me, Elias said quietly. In my own building. Brent dropped to his knees. I didn't know. That, Elias replied, is the point. Elias addressed the lobby. I built this company from a warehouse and a borrowed truck, he said. And I promised myself one thing. No one here would ever feel small. His eyes returned to Brent. You violated that promise. HR arrived. Lawyers followed. Phones buzzed. Brent was terminated on the spot. The guards who followed orders were suspended pending review. But Elias wasn't finished. He turned to the crowd. I watched how people treated those they thought had no power. He gestured to the janitor who'd been mocked earlier that week, to the receptionist who'd been shouted at, to the analyst who'd tried to speak up. Power doesn't reveal character, Elias said. It exposes it. Weeks later, Atlas Dynamics announced sweeping reforms. Mandatory leadership training, anonymous reporting lines, a culture audit led personally by Elias. The janitor was promoted to facilities supervisor. The analyst received a commendation. The receptionist became office manager. And Brent, last seen leaving the building with a cardboard box, unnoticed. Months later, Elias returned to his quiet routine. Same coat, same briefcase, but now people greeted him. Not because of his title, but because they'd learned something. Never underestimate the quiet man. Never mistake silence for insignificance. And never abuse power, because one day you may discover the person you pushed aside was the one holding everything together. This story isn't just about a company. It's about how we treat people when we think no one important is watching. Because sometimes, the quiet man you rough up today is the one who decides your future tomorrow. Justice was served. And the lesson? Respect costs nothing, but disrespect can cost everything. If you felt the tension, the drama, and the justice in this story, don't miss what's coming next. Subscribe to the channel now and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story where the underdog takes control and justice is served. Remember, silence doesn't mean weakness, and sometimes the quietest people hold the most power.